Just buy 20 Solana. Right guys, today we're going to be looking at an interview from Solana CEO Anatoly Yakovenko, where he's going to be looking at the future of Solana and talking about it, as well as giving a prediction for the future and giving a prediction of why Solana will pump hard very soon. So if you're not holding any Solana, make sure to stick around till the end of the video, as this is a big opportunity, especially with how bearish Solana has been looking lately. And if it touches the $93 to $95 range, roughly 95, 96 even, it's going to be mad in my opinion. Solana is going to pump so hard, so make sure to stick around for Anatoly's thoughts. But before we get into all of that, let's see how Solana has been behaving. And as you guys can see, like you already know, if you're holding Solana, or at least if you're following the channel, Solana has been looking very bullish overall, like ever since October, right? Ever since 18th, 19th of October, roughly, it has been very bullish, and to the peak, right? It went 400% to the moon, bearish or bullish extremely, and this is just the tip of the iceberg in my opinion. And yeah, now it has been looking kind of bullish, but if it touches this line, in my opinion, it's going to skyrocket, right? And yeah, there's still an opportunity. Some people think it's too late to buy Solana. Some people think Solana had its pump and it's now kind of looking bearish, while the other crypto projects are pumping hard. And I just don't agree with that kind of viewpoint overall, because I think Solana still has a lot of utility and very good tokenomics to why it can still pump. Now, with that being said, let's check out this interview from Anatoly Yakovenko.
With a very basic question. So we know that now everyone is focusing on Web3, like in terms of new buzzword that is going around in the space. What do you think is the role of Solana? What do you think is the role that Solana will play in Web3?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that we see like the DeFi primitives and all these kind of more complicated financial things now become part of a standard, developer's web stack, just another tool. And I think Solana's the, cheapest, fastest place to run those tools. And where I see like kind of the pioneers of that have proven that out, folks like Audius already have 6 million users. I think they do about like 500,000 transactions per day. The reason they can do that, store likes and follows and plays on a network like Solana, is because it's cheap.
And yeah, overall, right, Solana is known for its efficiency, and that's what Anatoly said. Obviously, there are still other networks that you can do the same things you can do on Solana, but Solana is known for how efficient it is, for how secure it is as well, and I think he's gonna go into it more in the future of this interview. So yeah, we're gonna stick around for it and bear with me on this interview because it's very important. I think there's a very big opportunity here with Solana.
And I wanted to ask you about the concept of censorship resistance. So you are very much focused on this concept. You think that it's central in the way you develop Solana. So what does censorship resistance mean to you?
Yeah, this is like a very financial term. What this means is that I can send and receive information within a very short amount of time, and I'm guaranteed that nobody can interfere with that, whether ordering of information or withhold it or make a decision before I receive it. And to us, that's a very kind of engineering problem. How do we get that process globally, a global state machine, to synchronize within 400 milliseconds? So Solana is designed, almost specifically just for that.
And as far as I understand, it has to do with cryptography, so with the possibility to send a message and be sure that that message will get to the receiver in the same way as you sent it in the first place, right?
Yeah, except the interesting part here is that the receiver is the entire globe. It's everybody in the world all at once. So how do you guarantee that? Go look at our GitHub. It's a bunch of code.
Yeah, and the fact that Solana is open source as well is very important. And overall, right, it's a very good project with a lot of utility, and the fact that it's pumping right now, even though it's kind of looking bearish for the past couple of days, like I said, that could even be even better, right? And yeah, overall, I'm very happy for the project. I think it's a great project with great utility, and it's become one of my favorite projects so far to cover,
And if you had to point out what are the limitations that still face Solana from a technical standpoint, what would those limitations be?
You know, as an operating system, it's very young. So, it takes 10 years to build an OS for real. I had the pleasure of doing that at Qualcomm when working on the first mobile operating systems. And a lot of the work is now in the tooling and the application development and building better frameworks, libraries. It should be easy for somebody to port a new virtual machine. It took Neon folks about a year. What if, the next set of developers need Java running or .NET? How long is that going to take to port? So what I want to see in the next 5 years is for Solana to be a full-featured operating system that developers have the kind of ease of use that today they have with Linux or Windows.
And it's curious, so you were talking about a time frame of 5 years. What do you think about in terms of users? How many users we are talking about in a time frame of 5 years? What do you think?
Yeah, and this is a very interesting question, right? Not only because it's very insightful, but also because this was a 2-year-old interview overall. So yeah, I'm very curious to see where Anatoly's head was at 2 years ago.
1 billion users. I think it's
billion users, guys. That's exactly where his head was at.
possible. Like the difference with Web 3 and Web 2 and Web 1 is that those cycles are getting shorter and shorter. We now have the internet to really scale and grow. The challenges, of course, are people, right? How long is it going to take for normal people to understand what cryptography is, what it means to store a seed word, how to deal with that, how to deal with signature verification? When somebody displays a request to sign, what that means to a person that's never done that before. So implications of all of that are going to take a bit of time to work out. But I'm super excited to work on that with folks like Brave, where we can iterate on the entire stack, vertically integrated from a mobile browser down to the URL bar, right? That can start doing some anti-phishing heuristics there, plus the trusted display that displays that to the user. It's a lot of work, right? But I'm excited for the challenge.
Yeah, he loves challenges, guys. That's something about Anatoly Yakovenko. He's constantly innovating his projects, and like I said, this was 2 years ago. Since then, the Solana mobile phone has come out, like the Saga phone, and so many other innovations, right? That's something very, very good about a project, to have constant innovations, and that's part of the reason why the price is growing, right? That's part of the utility behind it.
Yeah, and I think that another challenge maybe is also the challenge of security. So we know that in September, Solana was faced by some technical issues. It was down. The network was down for a few hours.
17-hour block.
Yeah, 17-hour bugs, and a lot of people have been talking about it. They've been asking you questions about it. So, what do you think? You said that those kind of bugs are some sort of inevitable, in the sense that the network is run by volunteers that need different incentives, and so how are we supposed to entrust the Solana network with billions of dollars if those things could still happen in the future?
So the core of what decentralization provides is that as long as there's a single honest party out of all of them, that the network can continue soundly. So no matter what happens, right, government decides to censor all of the data centers that Solana validators operate in, right? The internet has a massive outage on a BGP router that shuts down, 2/3 of it. Those things may sometimes require human intervention to unblock, but that process of unblocking it is cryptographically secure, and as long as there's one honest copy available of the ledger, the network will continue. So you can actually think of it as a 17-hour block.
You mean that, okay, we can face these problems, we can fix them with not much...
with no risk to the safety or funds or anything like that. But it is effectively, as if application developers or users experienced a block that took 17 hours to complete.
Yeah, and if you can see, guys, as well, how many people attend these conferences to hear what Anatoly is saying, and that's with great like with very good reason, right? Because he is one of the best CEOs out there in the crypto space. We've covered him. The Caspa CEO is pretty good as well, and Gilbert Verdian from Quant is amazing still. But yeah, overall, yeah, that means a lot. That means a lot.
We are seeing a lot of talks about the competition between Solana and Ethereum. Do you see it as a competition?
I don't know, right? Like, is Linux competing with BSD or Windows? Sorta yes, sorta no. There's feature overlap, obviously. I think the core thing that I've always realized is that myself, as somebody that grew up with Linux and being like part of that community, just as a teenager, that's where I really learned what it means to code, like what open source projects look like. It's impossible to kill an open source project because as long as there's people that want to work on this stuff for fun over the weekend, there's nothing anybody can do to stop them.
Yeah, and that's what I said about open source project as well, and why it's great that Solana is an open source project. And yeah, with that being said, guys, that's all the time we have for today. If you want to check out the rest of this interview, then I'll leave the link in the description. But overall, let me know your thoughts on the interview, on Solana's price, and on its behavior. How do you see it going in the future? Do you agree with me that once it touches the $95 line, it will boom, it will skyrocket? Or do you think that it's gonna continue going bearish and it will fall down to where it was here in the trajectory, or and you will see the other cryptos just pumping besides Solana? So yeah, let me know all of your thoughts and more in the comments down below. As always, I love talking to you today, and peace.